Hi, everybody. This is Will Bowen with today's Jumpstart, continuing our exposition into Rudyard Kipling's If. Truly an amazing poem. As I begun to post these, and I mentioned in my very first post that my mother gave me this poem on a birthday card when I was 17 years old, and it blew me away. I'd never read it before, and I ended up memorizing it as I keep demonstrating. Hopefully I'll continue to say it right. I'm sure somebody will let me know if I don't. But it just totally blew me away. And so many of you have said, you know what, that's how I first read it. Somebody gave it to me on a card. Or I gave it to my son when he hit 20, somebody said the other day. So that's so awesome. I love when we find something we're all aware of, you know? I always say it's like a room we can meet in. So we're meeting in If by Rudyard Kipling right now. If you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself while all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim. And today we're up to, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. Let me say that again. If you can meet with triumph and disaster, triumph or disaster, and treat those two imposters just the same. You know, it's absolutely amazing how so often something in our lives will happen and we'll think, oh, this is the worst thing ever. And then it'll turn out to be the best thing ever. Something will seem to go horribly wrong. And then we'll go, oh my gosh, thank God. The other day I was sending out an email to a potential speaking client. And I sat down and wrote everything out that I wanted to say. And then I went and did some other stuff, and I came back a couple of days later, and I realized I had never clicked send. It was still floating in the ethers as a draft. And inside I went, oh, no, this is terrible. They probably think I'm not interested, that I'm just rude, that I'm slack, that I didn't respond. And so I started to hit send, and then I looked at the email, and I realized that I had left something out and something I actually needed. And had I sent it, it would have had, the information would have been, I would have looked worse had I sent it. Now, that's just a minor example. That's just a minor example. But I'm sure you've experienced it in your life because so many people have told me that they have, that, they've lost something and they've gone to look for it. And in the process of looking for it, they find something even more precious that they thought was gone forever. And yet I have also known people who thought, this is the love of my life, and it turns out not to be. It turns out to be the disaster. The question is, can we ultimately look at each of these and realize that these two imposters are just the same? That triumph is something that we go, yay, and disaster is something we go, ooh, but they're really just emotions. They're the same. And we attach to them what it is that we choose to attach to them. Ultimately, we decide whether something's a triumph. We decide whether something's a disaster. And in the end, there's going to be a lot of triumphs and there's going to be a lot of disasters. And they're just imposters. They're made by us in many cases. They're created by us, and they're so important. I remember back when I was in sales, I had lost this really huge client. I was like, oh my God, my life is over. I called my wife. I said, we need to go to lunch. We went to lunch. I was like, this is terrible. We're going to lose our house. I mean, this was decades ago, right? And then literally the next place I went, I sold somebody more than I lost in the previous call. You just never know. I forget who said it. I think it was Dale Carnegie. But whoever said it, or Napoleon Hill, you don't know enough to be a pessimist. You just don't. So meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, just the same. Enjoy today, and we'll talk tomorrow. Bye-bye.